So here is Niteo, and this is my vlog number 5, and I've had him now for just about 2 weeks, and so he's been doing pretty well, progressing pretty nicely, all things considered. I mean, my sessions really aren't longer than 30 minutes, sometimes a little bit shorter. So he's finally figured out that I am a good scratching post. And he is letting me on that right side to scratch, and you can see, I mean, he's shedding and he's starting to gain weight, so he's looking and starting to feel a lot better. But he has all of that just super long Wyoming coat that is wanting to come off. So I'm just giving him all the scratches that he'll let me give him, and he's really enjoying right under his kind of throat latch area, which for some Mustangs that can be a sensitive point, but you know, because it is the delicate area of the throat. But he is quite pleased with me scratching that for him. He's giving me the good scratchy lips. And just giving him a minute there to kind of process some things. He's getting pretty good about me. He's funny because, you know, some days he will start off really nice and relaxed, and other days he can be a little bit more nervous in the beginning. But that's okay. That's kind of the process of the training. So I'm just really wanting to spend time here kind of scratching on him before we do anything else. Because I think this is really good bonding and getting him to realize that I am a friend. But you also still have to be aware. I don't want him to be pushing on me too much. So you want to have that nice balance between boundaries. And he is just really enjoying the scratches that I can give him. And it's always interesting to start to really see them kind of unfold a little bit. He's definitely a sweet type horse, but he's pretty internal, but although he's being pretty external about this stuff. And while he's been willing and stuff, he's just still been pretty reserved, I guess is more so the word. So I think he's going to be a very much a pocket type pony guy as he's really getting into these scratches. And again, I just have to be a little bit mindful still of like where we are, even though we're getting some really nice scratches and stuff. And he's doing pretty good with me using 2 hands, so I like to kind of change things up. And I'll use one hand kind of right in front of the chest, and he's okay with that. And it's also interesting because once they start to learn that the touch of your hand is a good thing and the muscles are relaxed when you're scratching them, versus on some of the Mustangs when you touch, it's like an electric zap and their muscles tense up. So I really want him to kind of learn to get those really nice releases from my touch, so he gets some really good endorphins from it. And then kind of walk away. Give him a little bit of a release, but he would like for me to continue, I think. He has such a cute face, this boy. Especially when he does his little scratchy face. And you can kind of see in the camera when he gets a little closer, that left eye, it's really pretty because he only has a little bit of blue in it. It's not a full blue eye, it's just a partial blue eye. And what's been interesting is some people might think, oh, that might be a sight-related thing, but it's not. It's just the coloration of his eye, because that was the eye that he allowed me to do a lot of the work in the beginning. And now he's pretty comfortable with me on the right side, but again, you can see what I was talking about with how relaxed and loose his muscles are. That is really, really nice to see. And all of this, you have to kind of be careful because we're used to patting horses as a reward. And that's too much stimulus. You have to teach them, if you want to teach them that a pat is a good thing, you have to teach the Mustangs that that's okay and it's not pressure. And again, any chance I have to kind of play around and manipulate the halter. And just getting him to kind of see my hands kind of open. So sometimes for them, seeing your hands open is kind of like a predator paw type, but he handled that pretty well. I think he just wants me to go back to scratching him the whole time. And he's really enjoying it. It's really fun to kind of feel them let go and feel relaxed. And he's been pretty good about me playing around with the halter, so I decided to see when I'm going to take it off. And then because of the sessions before where I had played around with the rope, I'd also I don't think I got it on video, or maybe I did. I like to, when they have the halter on, have a spare halter and work on putting the halter on over that. But he handled that really, really well. No problem taking it on and off. And I would prefer that we not reciprocate scratches. And he's doing really good with my hand movements here as I'm chatting with one of my students, because again, for some horses that could have been too much pressure. So after I spent a lot of time giving him scratches, I wanted to do a little bit more work with the line on him. So just giving him a second here, rubbing his face. Because sometimes for him, the sound of the clip can be a little reactionary, or, just going and putting it on. But again, repetition is my friend. And working on getting him to soften up a little bit. And now working on getting him to kind of accept me in that position more so on the side. I'm just trying to get him to move his feet a little bit. Again, he's still pretty sticky, which again, I kind of like, because it's nice to have one that's not super duper flatty. But then he said, I am uncomfortable, I'm going to leave. So I'm just going to take what he offers a little bit here. Work on a little bit of sending. And now I'm going to ask him to kind of yield. and then give him a rub. And you'll see I'm checking his eyes because, again, the bugs can be really bad, and they can get pretty goobery eyes. And again, he decided he was uncomfortable and he wanted to leave, but he's getting better about when he hits the pressure of the halter to kind of stop. So he's a little bit uncomfortable, so I'm going to work on this a little bit. So even after we had our really nice scratch sessions, we still get a little bit worried. So I just have to go back and reiterate that it's okay, it's not a big deal, and repeat what we've done in the past and then build upon from that. And sometimes you could get easily frustrated because you think that you've done it and they should be okay with it and they were so relaxed, but I mean, that's just not the case. They have to have several times of positive experiences and learning from that, so then they can build upon it, and it just is those baby steps. So he stood there and let me kind of be there for a moment. So then we're gonna kind of change directions, change our feet a little bit, see if I can get them to unlock off of the pressure. Just a little sticky. He's just a little bit worried. My rope is getting a little bit stuck on some of the snagged. But again, I want to keep just staying relaxed myself. Going in like no big deal. Now I'm just giving them a rub, trying to get some of that dirty hair off.
Henry,
and give him a release.
do we really have to do that right here?
I've been really happy with this progress because each day we're able to accomplish a little bit more and build upon what we had the day before. And he really is a sweet boy. Now I'm just working on rubbing the hindquarters. I definitely feel like horses have zones. So you have kind of like their nose and their head, their neck, their shoulders, and then you have the barrel, the hip and the flank area, their bum, and then also their legs, and then the tail is the last one, because sometimes they can be really good, you can touch them all over, and then that last zone, that tail, can make them a little nervous. But you know, it's always interesting to see kind of where horses let you in. Sometimes they want you to touch their nose first, or sometimes it's the shoulder first. Sometimes it's the left side. Most of the time it's the left side. I've had a couple where it's the right side, but generally it's the left. And then again, starting to work on the leg, so that's a completely different area. And because, again, he has that little bit of a boo-boo that he had from when he arrived, and then the bugs have just made it worse. So I've been working on getting SWAT on that, and I need to build up to where I can get a bandage on it so I can keep the bugs off of it. So I'm gonna see what he lets me have, where I can touch my leg, or not touch my leg, touch his leg. And just giving a little bit of a block with my left arm, because sometimes when you go to touch the leg, their reaction is to give a bite, because that's what the horses do, you know, when in the wild they tend to go for the legs. That can just be a natural thing. So if I just block a little bit, he hasn't offered it, but it's just a habit for me to block with my left hand and go on down with the right hand. But you can see kind of that dark spot on his fetlock. That's kind of what I'm looking to cover with ointment. And that was actually very, very good. He handled that really well. And then again, he actually let me lift it up, so that was a very good response there. Starting to trust me a little bit. And sometimes if you have ones that are a little bit more expressive, I would start doing this with a stick or a rope to let them get the idea of picking up the foot. But again, I have a pretty good feel on him. He, for the most part, is pretty soft, and if he is uncomfortable, he'll just tell me and he kind of runs away. But I can kind of tell when he starts to get uncomfortable. But that was very good again. And he's letting me catch it. So now kind of the hard part is I need to be able to have two hands to be able to get a bandage on that leg. So I have to take the hand that I kind of want to help guard me a little bit. Then if you take it off, you have to trust that horse a little bit to kind of stay there. But I was really happy with that. I'm gonna get him to move off of the halter a little bit. And now grab the swat and see if I can get it. Swat does a pretty good job of at least keeping the flies off for a little bit of time. So I just went in there, went right on down and put it on. And sometimes that's the best way to do it, because if I would have gone a little slower, he could have gotten a little bit more worried. But I was able to be nice, calm, and relaxed and be pretty efficient with it. And I was able to get it on the boo-boo. So I was pretty happy about that. And he let me touch the front of his leg really nicely.
Yeah, that was good.
No, I was very, very proud of him for that. He was a very good boy. And then I like to go in and start picking up the foot. And can do that by pulling on the feathers a little bit. They tend to respond really well to that. They don't get too worried. Then I went on to the right side. He kind of went, "Excuse me, ma'am, that was a little quick." I'll go back and go a little slower, where I go down the leg and then come back up and then go to where I know he likes scratches, just to help him feel a little bit more secure. And he was very good about the right leg as well. So I thought that was Very, very good. I'm very pleased with part one of this vlog with Niteo.